And welcome back. This is Frost Gaming 25. And we're gonna take a little look at my build here today. I have mentioned that I would do this in the past, but we have the Helltooth Build, which is the Helltooth harness. And we have the 6-piece going on right now. This is my current setup. This isn't where it's gonna be in the end, but we'll kind of talk about what we're gonna do with it and if anybody wants to build this sort of build, they can always give it a try. But effectively, you have two damage sources on this, the way I'm playing it right now. You have your first damage source, which is your golems, or, well, they're called gargantuans, but I keep calling them golems, so just ignore that. If you hear me say golems, just know I'm referring to the gargantuans. And then second is your bears. You have zombie bears as your second one. Now, first things first, the easiest one to get, the easiest part of this whole thing to get, is your scrimshot. The scrimshot is the life of this build and will start you off if you're just starting the season. And you can use this going forward to any season in the future because they're not really going to do too many changes going forward. So, for the most part, if you need anything done, you just get this item and it can be pretty easily obtained. We have enough to roll, but effectively you have two choices. You just roll. First of all, you just roll you roll a spear. You can roll your spear here, and you have one of two choices that you can obtain. I don't know if I have both in my thing, but we can try to roll it and see if we fail. Let's do that. I'll do it just so I can show. Hopefully, well, there's only two options that are coming out of it. It's either it's going to fail and you're going to get a different weapon, or it's going to succeed and you're going to get the scrimshot. Okay, well, I happen to get a insanely good roll on this, except for it's 6 times instead of 7. So, there's that. Oh, man. Okay, well, yeah, so there's a... we have a backup scrimshot. I'm going to keep what I'm using right now, just because the difference 6 times and 7 times. But yeah, you have a 50-50 chance of rolling this or the another weapon, and the other weapon doesn't have a legendary effect. It literally has quite literally no use at all, unless if you absolutely have nothing else to use. You can't even cube it. That's how useless it is. So yeah, you got your 50-50 chance, and you roll that when you start the season. You roll this, and that will give you your zombie charger, making it so that it does 75% reduced mana cost, and its damage is increased by 7 times the normal damage. So that's your first bit. Then the second bit is, in this particular case, I have, just because of this season, this is not something you can use next season. You'll actually have to switch this out with something else. But this season I can because I have it right here. You can see that I have the trodden effigy, and that is zombie charger deals 150% increased damage, and the zombie bears rune now summons 8 bears that travel further. And then we have our shortman's finger. This would normally be over here, and actually it would just be flipped. You take these two and you flip them, and that would be the lineup. I just wanted to display the fact that they don't have to be in order this season, which is great, because any item can go anywhere. Anyhow, so yeah, then we've got your cube things. I like to put the Mask of Jerem in. You could use this same setup in the cube like that. However, I would still recommend this technically can be in here, but you might want to put it the other way around. It depends on how good of a roll you have. But the 150% is really what you're looking for here. You want the highest roll possible on your ability, and if you do have this as an item and not in the cube, I have something that's kind of on par, but it's not quite as good as the max roll. It's not a perfect roll. Let's see here. At least I thought I had one. Maybe it's over here. 102, that's not a good roll. 111. That's my old 100% one. 132. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I thought I had one. Okay, that one's pretty close. Yeah, so you could do something like that, and then it would work just fine. This is actually probably a better roll than the one I'm using because of the survivability. The only reason why I'm using the other one is because I need Sugar County's Triumph, and I'm not using this. But if it wasn't on season, I'd probably use this, and then I have the rolls similar to this because it's a pretty good setup. Let's see, that's most of your damage right there. If you get those two items, you're pretty set in terms of the season. The rest of this will just kind of finish your build off and give you a lot of power. But these two basic items, you are absolutely doing fine at that point in terms of damage. At least for the leveling part of it, and then even going a little bit into the after leveling part. Then you also are going to want Lakumba's Ornament. You get that perfect roll if you can. Try to go for the perfect roll, but honestly, sometimes you just have to get it. The hardest part is getting this thing. With this particular build, I build for poison because we have our zombie charger here. Does poison damage, and well, this doesn't matter. We don't need this for damage. We need it to proc our damage. So we take it because it has 25 damage reduction, or 25% damage reduction for enemies that are in it. And then our Gargantuan is also a poison enemy. Now, there is an alternative build. If you wanted, there's an alternative build here. Oh, we also have, we can use this. You can use either Cloud of Insects if you need more damage reduction, which in this case I do. But you can also use this one, or you can use Pestilence. They both work. Yeah, the other two you don't really care to use. So this one and this one you don't really care to use that much unless for some reason you're needing something else. But your damage isn't coming from Locust Swarm. It's the only point of Locust Swarm is you want to proc this Ring of Emptiness right here, which gives you a 271, well, in my case, it goes up to 300% damage increase to any enemy affected by Haunt or Locust Swarm. So in this case, Locust Swarm. I'm also using the Compass Rose, and that gives you with the 2 set, which means I have to have the Traveler's Pledge as well. You want to roll on the Traveler's Pledge, ideally have critical hit damage and critical hit chance. And you can have, I mean, in a perfect world, you're going to have poison damage on this as well. If you can make that happen, you have the absolute best in slot for a necklace. But in this case, I only have one that has intelligence, vitality, and critical hit damage. So I'm taking what I got and I have to deal with it. But yeah, in a perfect world, you're not going to use these stats. You want, once again, you want poison damage, then you want critical hit damage, then you want critical strike chance. So, or critical hit chance. Then on the Compass Rose, same thing. Well, it's similar. For the Compass Rose, you can do intelligence, vitality, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. That would be personally my favorite to go with, just to get that extra survivability as well as your extra damage bonus. It's a little bit of both worlds. And then you want to always roll on your offhand, no matter which offhand you use. If you use this one or if you use the other one, you always want to have Gargantuan damage on it. Zombie Charger can also be on it as well. It depends on which one you want to focus more on. So I mentioned earlier that there's another offhand that you can actually use. And I'll go ahead and roll them because I have plenty of materials. But if I go here, there's a thing called the Spite right here. So if you craft it, you'll notice here that it gets a non-cleaving gargantuan's gain, cleave, and chilling effects of the human gun Argoid rune. So they actually gain the effects of a rune, uh, giving them ability to cleave. So this is definitely usable um, as an offhand as well. But that means you're going to be focusing more on your zombie or your gargantuans at that point. Now I'm hoping I can put that in the cube. That'd be nice. Okay, I can. So we'll just put it in the cube just so that we have it there. But yeah, so you could get that as an alternative, but it would have to replace the zombie charger bonus, because at this point you're going all in on your damage for your gargantuans. But in this particular build, I'm doing this. I'm doing a hybrid between the two, so I'm not getting this. I'm just gonna use the big stinker, and it works just fine for this content. For my passives, I'm using the damage of zombie dogs and gargantuan is increased by 50%. The second effect we don't care about because we're not using zombie dogs. We also use confidence ritual. We're using spirit vessel because I'm on hardcore. If you are not on hardcore and you don't care about the deaths, then you can actually use a much better one, which is pierce the veil. It increases your damage, but it increases your mana cost as well. So you would have to do a little bit more in order to keep that going. But I prefer to have Spirit Vessel just in case if I do something stupid and I accidentally get myself killed. So that is a possibility. You can also do Bad Medicine if you really need more survivability. You're doing all poison damage anyway, so this would work as a more survivable option if you're really struggling with survivability, since you have Big Stinker and you have the Zombie Charger. So anyone hit by either of those is instantly going to take or deal 25% less damage. Okay, so next up you've got your Severance. So now this is important, which one you choose. So Severance is more if you're going to be doing something like I need to do speed rifts and I want to do things quickly. It also plays really well, extremely well with this, because it makes your spirit walk last for pretty much ever, as long as you don't see an elite pack within 20 yards. The other option, which is what you want to use if and only if you need more survivability. It's not any of these, it's this one right here, Healing Journey. You gain 15% of your maximum life when you activate Spirit Walk. So if you're having problems with surviving, or you're doing a high Greater Rift push and you don't care about speed, you want to push for Greater Rift 150. If you're trying to do that, you want the Healing Journey instead. It's not worth having the Severance. The speed actually can become a detriment to you. It actually can hurt you because you start moving too fast and you can run into something you don't want to, and then your Spirit Walk deactivates, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you find yourself in an awful predicament. So, Healing Journey is definitely the better one if you're doing for high Greater Rift pushing. Next up is Soul Harvest. You need Soul Harvest in order to proc your offhand here, or your bracers. It reduces your damage taken of Soul Harvest, or if your Soul Harvest at least has 1 to 3 stacks, depends on what your roll is. You want the lower the number, the better. So you always want to try to get 1. That's the best one. And then you get 2% additional damage reduction per soul stack harvest, or per stack of soul harvest. So yeah, we use soul harvest here, and you don't really need any of these except for this one right here. You want this one because it gives you 10% more armor per enemy harvested and reduces their movement speed by 80%. Now, the movement speed reduction can be beneficial. I also have this. This is replaceable. I'll mention that later, but Um, the soul harvest, when you soul harvest the gems you use, you can actually switch these out that I'm using right now. If you want more damage and want to push for as much damage as humanly possible, you can push for this, and what it'll do is it will give you a damage increase from anything that's in a effect of a control impairing effect. So anytime you have an enemy that's affected by something that is control impairing, and that includes movement speed slows, um, then you're going to gain bonus damage from this particular gem. So this is pretty useful. The other one that is switch outable is Mortarium. Um, I could be butchering the name of that, but you can switch that one out for, let's see here, for this one right here, Bane of the Stricken. It is 100% a good choice if you're doing this particular build. The reason being is because you have Zombie Charger that procs constantly for every time that you have a zombie bear that runs up to it. The enemy that gets hit by it, it's going to take the damage of that. So think about it in the sense that you're applying one stack. So you can see each attack you make against an enemy increases the damage it takes from your attacks by 0.8, 80%. 0.80. So you deal that, and this sends out 8 chargers, and with the other thing in there. But yeah, you send out 8 chargers in total, and that means you're going to get 8 times this value every single time you're casting this effect. So if you keep casting this effect and all 8 chargers hit that same enemy, the amount of damage you can scale it up to can get pretty crazy pretty fast. So that's an option. And that's assuming you don't want damage, but you always, no matter what, if you're using this build, for sure you want this one right here, which is it increases the damage of your pets, and then it also makes it so your pets take less damage, 90% less damage. Now, the alternate effect seems to help in some weird circumstances. There are areas where they cannot survive very well for some reason, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can fix that problem the second you get that. However, most of the time they do just fine and they don't take any damage. But yeah, you're gonna definitely want it because you want to raise your pet damage as much as possible. Anywho, so yeah, that's the gist of that. The next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of run through a couple GRs. I'll do a 79 just for fun. So I'm not high enough into it yet that where I have to like worry about any types of like damage. I actually have enough damage reduction that it shouldn't be a problem. But I'm just hopefully showcasing well enough that this build works pretty well. 100% a viable build. You always want to avoid those bombs because they're not worth it. So you can see here, we're not really having any issues. We're able to kind of run through the content, no problem. You can set your follow-up with, I usually will set my follower up with some Nemesis bracers, just makes it a little bit faster, and I also give him the flavor of time so that I get the pylon effects for twice as long. And I get this as well so that he deals increased damage, or anyone is standing in that will deal increased damage because it's an emanating effect essentially. It doesn't say that it's emanating, but it is. Whenever you kill an enemy, there's a chance that you're gonna have that appear, and as you can see, it appears right here. So even though I'm standing over here, my gargantuans are actually doing 85% more damage. Yeah, so as you can see there, the enemies don't make it too long. It's a pretty strong build. And we're not even like pushing it very hard yet. I'm also, on top of all of that, I'm not even using optimal gear. I'm missing a lot of optimization in this, and that's just because I haven't gotten the luck yet. I haven't rolled the random odds to get any of the good stuff quite yet, but even as it is, Greater at 79 isn't any issue. You do have to cast your Locust Storm every once in a while, which is something to note. However, if you do want, there is an alternative build. If you want something more relaxed, where you don't have to do anything at all. Like if you want a build that you literally don't have to click the screen other than to move, there's another alternative build for that, which is all relying on the Golem. Or the Gargantuan. I did it. I knew I would. So, I'll mention that after this rift is over. We'll talk about the alternative build that you can do. Okay. Okay, that was our Gargantuans and other miscellaneous things happening, and he just went down. Okay. I don't know. We can just level up our damage gem. Okay. The other variant there is that I did mention is if you don't, let's just pretend here, you don't need this, and you just want to do something that's like almost AFKable. Like you literally don't have to do a damn thing except for occasionally click Wall of Death. You can switch this out right here. Switch this out for the Spite. Where is it? You can switch that out for the Spite, so you get the Gargantuans, get the Cleave. So all your build damage is going on Gargantuans at this point. And then the other thing that you can put on it, and this will go on your cube, is the Wormwood. So on your cube, you're going to put a Wormwood. And so what it will do is it'll automatically cast Locust Swarm to anyone around you. So you literally walk up to an enemy, and you don't even need this on your bar. You can actually put Horrify or something to get for damage reduction. And then you literally can just walk and kill everything. You just have to occasionally click Wall of Death, which is really not that hard. And your gargantuans, as long as they're summoned in the beginning of the rift, you can literally just sit back, relax, and enjoy. So it is pretty nice in that aspect. That is definitely a possibility. And I'll kind of just, for fun, I'm going to do an 80, and I'm not even going to use my zombie bears. I'm just going to let my gargantuans do the 80. I haven't even pushed that high yet. I just want to prove a point. So to prove my point, I am going to do one thing though, and that is I'm going to switch to Horrify just so that I do the extra damage or the extra toughness. So we do Frightening Aspect here. And all I gotta do is I literally am gonna go into a Greater Rift 80. I'll do 82. And I am not going to cast my Zombie Charger at all. Not a single time during this entire run. I'll cast my Gargantuans, as I promised. And I'll go into this. And then I'll occasionally cast Wall Death. Okay? So every once in a while, we'll reapply these stacks. We'll cast Horrify. We'll get a toughness bonus, and then like I promised, I will not touch. I'll let my Gargantuans do all the damage. So we're just gonna let our Gargantuans do this, and then just keep on walking around. We can go into here and we get the bonus damage. And granted I am nearby the enemy, so I can't stay in Spirit Walk. But they'll just keep doing their thing. And if I stand like this, they technically get the bonus. Oddly enough, they get the bonus of getting... Okay. Now keep in mind they don't have the cleave. I didn't even give them the cleave effect because we're not using it. But I definitely think I'm proving my point here, but we'll let it keep riding out. As I promised, we're doing this entire rift without once casting Zombie Charger. Now, if they had cleave, they'd be able to hit more enemies simultaneously, so we'd actually be doing more damage than we are right now. But it is what it is. We got this. Nope. There goes that. I'm officially not looking at the keyboard, so excuse me there for a second. Okay. Yeah, even though I wasn't looking at the keyboard, I didn't have any issues. You can see right here the effect, the absolute chaos with this effect. So this is probably one of the lazier builds in the game, but hey, it's an option if you do want to go this route. Yeah, keep in mind, we're doing the highest greater rift I've done this season. So we're technically speaking, we're pushing our build, and I'm not even using it how it should be used. I'm completely admitting the fact that I have zombie chargers. There we go. We're gonna cast our zombie chargers, or our, not zombie chargers, but our gargantuans in there, just so they can kill the guy real quick. Get them through the crap they don't need to kill. So if you really wanted to, you could technically macro the Wall of Death completely, if you don't want to click it. It's 100% macroable, which they're okay with doing or having in the game, so you know you can use it, I guess. I personally do it myself, but that's just me. Yep, still have yet to cast the zombie charger a single time. And the rift is almost over, so you're not going to get any speed points. That is one thing I will mention. It's not the fastest build out there, but it definitely works. Okay. Well, that really does something. Yeah, if you give them a power pylon, it's game over. They do so much damage. You can just watch. I just hit 2 trillion damage for a single hit. That's a 4 trillion damage. Oh, this is my favorite part. And we have a power pylon. Okay, we didn't cast zombie charger at all that entire rift. And they just absolutely decimated the Rift Guardian without any struggle. And we got our first consumable. Perfect. So we finally got our first consumable, which I would love to put on this weapon, but we can't because we need to progress in our tree, or the altar of rights. I need to do that, so we're going to sacrifice our first one in hopes that we get another one soon. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. But yeah, so that is just in a nutshell what you can do with that build. Now I'm going to go back to using my zombie charger because in all honesty it's faster. But just to prove my point, you can definitely use this and it will just absolutely do more than what you need. Okay, let's see here. We have this one already unlocked. We have that one. We're going to get this one, I think. That would be nice as well. Right here would be nice. But we'll do this one for right now. We need 20 Greater Rift. Okay, so we're going to have to come back with 20. Bummer. That's okay. Let me salvage everything else here. I'm not going to use it. We can try to re-roll that, reforge it. See if we get a reforged one. But it won't be right now. I'm going to run a couple rifts here. But for this video, that's all I'm going to show you guys right now. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, consider liking the video and subscribe if you want to see more like this. If you do enjoy the tips or anything like that, or maybe I missed something and you want to see something, I don't know, whatever, maybe just let me know in the comments, and I can definitely take a look at whatever you guys say and do some changes with it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.